Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pod TV's #1 do-it-yourself advocate show, Timeshare Solution or Surrender, where our host, Irene Parker, and her team of just really dedicated people are out there helping victims of deceptive acts of timeshares. Now, I quote deceptive acts of timeshares. Not every situation is a deceptive act, but Irene has taken on a great deal of victims and she has helped them. She's recently written a white paper, which hopefully we can publish soon. And we're sending it to the senators because we believe now the real way to solve this problem, because there are thousands of victims, is to get the laws changed. We need your help. Please feel free to text us your questions, comments, and if you want to be on the show, ask. Everyone, help me welcome Irene. Irene, hi.
Good. This is episode 41.
Thank you. I usually do that, but I have a lot on my brain because I was listening to one of the stories, and it's just, you know how I get. But 40, yeah, wow. Here we are, 41 episodes later, and we have, you in particular, have met thousands of people and helped so many people. Every day I am just stunned by how many victims there are now. You are moving towards saying now it's time to change the laws.
Yes, exactly. And I'm going to bring our board president on, TARDA's board president. Sheila and I go back to 2016. And when she followed the process I created and was able to resolve a dispute, but as age caught up with us, she is trying to exit Club Exploria, and they have been awful. And so I have brought onto the show as well. We have Farah, and Farah is in a similar situation with Sheila in that she does not have a loan, but do you see Kim, the Kelly family with us?
I do. Well, I don't know what happened. I hope they try to dial back in.
I know. I think they thought
when I put everyone, but I don't think I exited him, but have him, if you've got his email or something, have them try again.
Oh, okay. Somebody just texted something. It said, "Hi, are we receiving a new link?" But I don't know who it is.
Tell him to try the link again.
Okay. Try the link again.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Troubleshoot tech problems.
Yeah, we're live, but I tell you what, let's go ahead. We have Mazen, I believe you can be on the show for 30 minutes and then have to get back to work.
Well, let's roll.
Yeah, let's get to it, and let's hope that you can keep an eye out for the Kellys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we have today is we have two people. Well, we were supposed to have two more guests besides the Kellys, and they both have loans, Club Exploria loans. But we have, and so we were going to have 5 Club Exploria people on the show today, 2 with loans and 3 without loans. But because of a lot of these problems are industry wide, I invited Mazen to be on the show because he also does not have a loan, but he owns what I call your grandmother's timeshare. A deeded, I have one, so a deeded week where you knew on August 13th every year we had to check into Maui Hill or else exchange it to use it for something else. But the Federal Trade Commission, Section 5. Oh, good. Here we have the Kellys.
I was texting them again.
Yeah, so the Kellys, we're going to have Mazen begin, and we were saying that both you and Mohammed, who would love to be on the show today. He told us, God bless. But he also has a loan that he is trying to exit because of some deception. But we also have Sheila and Farah that do not have loans. So they owe nothing on maintenance fees. This is industry-wide. Great Eastern, Vacation Village, Soleil Management. The only option for most of those, Vacation Village, if you have a serious medical chronic hardship that prevents traveling, they will take it back after a lengthy battle and charging $1,500. Wyndham, Mazen bought at Kauai Beach Resort on Maui, and they have on Kauai, sorry, excuse me, on Kauai. So we're going to start with you, Mazen, because I just think that the Federal Trade Commission Section 5, unfair and deceptive practices. One attorney told us that, we spend a lot of time talking about deception. We probably should spend considerable time talking about unfair. So, Mazen, tell us how long you've owned the Kauai Beach Resort and what the status is. And my eyes sort of went wide open when I saw the note from your HOA about a $67 million special assessment. So let us know your journey.
Yeah, sure. So I actually bought the timeshare on one of those free trips or that they offered us maybe like 20 years ago or so, and it was first time in Hawaii and first time on Kauai Island period, and during that time certainly it was a high pressure, right? Okay, the price started at some point and then started to go down, but then you couldn't leave because it's too good to be true. And how could you leave the island, right? It's just too good to be true. So at the beginning I was able to use it quite a bit with the family, right? And I was able to go maybe every year and maybe every other year. And then combined with RCI, it was a decent combination. But then things over time became a lot harder. RCI points are worthless. You really can't go anywhere in the US once you deposit these points. So then, and if you can't go to your home property, right? There's no way to get out of it, right? But fast forward to a few years ago, I tried to exit. I asked them, "Hey, can I get out of this this timeshare?" And they said, "No, you have to sell it, or you have to deed it to somebody else." And then they end up having a flood. And for the flood, 2 buildings out of 9, I believe, went out of commission. And my unit is actually in one of those 2 buildings because I was deeded a unit ocean facing, right? And they were out of commission. And the one time I went, they put me in a different building. So to start with, I'm not getting what I'm paying for. That's number one. Number two, they started putting special assessment to try to recover or try to fix these buildings on our expense. Okay. And when I calculated that, I'm like, wow, all this revenue going in, didn't they have insurance? So I contacted them, initially, and they said, "Oh, you have to go through Wyndham." So I contacted Wyndham. Wyndham, they were curious at the beginning, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to help you. I understand the hardship. I understand that's what you want to do. Let's take you into something called certified exit." So I go certified exit, and I'm on the phone with these folks, and as they're looking through it, they're like, "Well, this property does not participate in this program." We don't know why, but they don't participate. I'm like, if they don't participate and they're pushing me on you, who's gonna help me? Right? Um, so I was able to use to go to the property over the summer, and because I didn't want to deposit the points, and it was for me and my son to a vacation to do. I'm like, let me see if I can go talk to them. There's nobody to talk to. They were not returning emails. And when they did this, they sent me an email saying, "Oh no, we can't help you. You just gonna have to do it on your own."
Now, this is the HOA that you were,
This is the board.
yes.
This is the board. I got the email for the board because the VIP, what they call the VIP email, they're like, well, we just make reservations for you. We don't do anything else. Here's the board email, and I was able to reach them at that point, and they said no, we can't do that for you. Then I reached back to Wyndham and I said, Wyndham, look, you told me to go through these folks. And they're basically giving me the hand, and they're telling me, you got to keep on paying forever, right? Unless somebody buys it. And you have told me to go through a third party to try to sell it. I tried to do that. I listed
Well, and also it wasn't just any third party. There's an aptly named organization, the Licensed Timeshare Resale Broker Association. So these are honest resellers that function like traditional real estate agents. If you call Timeshares Only or Sell My Timeshare Now and you say, hey, I'd like you to do this for us a little undercover. I've got a Kauai Beach Resort. It's a 1-bedroom, How you think $10,000 sounds like a good price? Well, they're going to get your $900 listing fee. Sure, that sounds great. But in Florida, if I have a Florida licensed real estate agent, I'm not using it. I tried to work in rentals and resales, and I just didn't like it. But it is against the law for someone who is not licensed to suggest a listing price. If you are licensed, you can lose your license if you exaggerate the listing price. Mm-hmm. So you called Advantage Vacations, where I refer everybody to Syed. He's been in the business 20 years. And so as to not waste your time or theirs, they don't even want to list it, correct?
No, they don't. And per your suggestion as well, I went to Red Week to see what's how are they listed there, and they were listed for $1, right?
Exactly.
That's that. And then Wyndham over the summer they suggested another real estate agent in Maui. I reached out to them, and they let me list it for free. But the guy told me, look, there is a dime a dozen here. They are all listed for like $500 to $100, right? They're a dime a dozen. I don't expect you to get any offers. And I did, and I also went on eBay. I listed it on eBay because I also saw a listing on eBay similar to mine, and it was listed for nothing. So I listed it for $10, and I still haven't heard. So finally, I sent an email to Wyndham just 2 weeks ago, right, Irene? I think when we and I were working on it. And I told them, all right, look, this is everything I tried, and this is everything I've done, right? I can offer you to pay for the fee for 2025. Just work with me, right? And coincidentally, in the same time, I received that email that is broadcasted to all the owners about yet another special assessment coming up in 2025, on top of the already increased fee, which went up by almost the same amount of the special assessment from last year. So
wait a minute, I thought the special assessment last year was $450.
Correct.
Okay, well, according to a 1-bedroom, your special assessment is $2,400
for 2025.
Yeah, for 2025.
Yeah, for 2024 it was 450. For 2025 it's gonna go even further.
It's $2,460 for, if you have a 2-bedroom, it's $3,500. Now I'm in South Florida and we're all getting special assessed out to our eyeballs. There's special assessments of 60,000, 100,000. Our sellers paid 24,000 for where we are, but that's the home you live in. So if something happens, you've got to fix it. This is at night they have the South Florida condo crisis, insurance crisis. But on the other hand, this is a 1-week timeshare that nobody's gonna buy it. So your choices are either to pay for it for the rest of your life or default. And as I understand it, just like Julie was on our show before, and she was terrified about defaulting. So we put her with our other board member who has been very involved with HOAs, and he walked her through the Red Week and the Timeshare User Group process to list it. And this time next year, she's in the same boat. They're sinking ships. So as you default and others default, the delinquencies rise. Wyndham Carriage Hills and Wyndham Carriage Ridge in Ontario, trying to organize Americans is like trying to organize squirrels because we're coast to coast. But Ontario is like a state. And they organized and they went to the Canadian government, Consumer Protection. They hired a law firm and they forced the sale of both resorts. So both Wyndham resorts are no longer timeshare. We had Ron Roberts on the show, and he cooperates with Lemon Juice Solutions that they call it repurposing, where they will turn a timeshare into a whole use condo. So in a situation like Kauai Beach Resort, I'm like, well, this is a lead for Lemon Juice. So I said, why don't you suggest to them that they look into repurposing? So we want to be proactive.
I did in the email, but in general, I mean, you say a sinking ship. It's hard to believe how mismanaged the property is. So I've before moving into a house, I lived in a condo, right? And you pay the HOA, what is it, $130 at the time a month, and they take care of the outside of your property. They take care of the grounds, and you don't have to worry about anything, right? And then part of what you pay for is for them to pay for insurance in case something happens, right? And that insurance covers incidental, whether it's weather related, which we don't have that much of it here in California, but either weather related or maybe some kind of big maintenance item like the pool went out or something like that, right? And every once in a while, and I sat on that board, on that HOA board, every once in a while, you look at the expenses and you be like, you know what? Things have gone up because of inflation or what have you. We're going to increase it by a nominal amount, right? Maybe $10 or whatever. And we'll explain it to homeowners. That's what we're doing. Versus, I'm just going to let the place go. Everything is rusted. You look around, every building's like rusted from the outside. You can see the old paint and you can see the rust literally dripping. And I'm like, where is it dripping from? It's crazy, right? And then the 2 buildings that I mentioned were out of commission. I saw people squatting. And I was telling my son, I'm like, that guy looks like he lives there. Literally, because the way he was comfortable on the balcony, I'm like, that's not a tourist.
Plants growing and
and clothes hanging outside. And then they have the places like roped off, right? Or they have the caution sign all over. So, and I told them that in an email, and of course they haven't responded. So my next course of action is just go ahead and print that email that I sent them and then send it to them via a certified letter of some sort, and just say, you know what, I know that you received it, right? But with the special assessment and with the fees going up, I'm really not planning to continue, paying them at this point if they're not responding. So that's my next course of action.
Well, and we've had so many, this has been just endless calls from these resorts that will, some of us here are old enough to remember the Eagles song, Hotel California,
Yeah.
where you can check out, but you can never leave. And most of the people I talk to, whether it's defaulting on a loan or defaulting on maintenance fees, there are some, especially seniors, that will never have another good night's sleep if there's ever a bill they don't pay. So one of our volunteers suggested a Facebook group of people that are in dispute. It's kind of turned into a default support group. So when you get the notice of default, whether it's a maintenance fee or a loan, they word it really scary. I have people terrified. I just received this. It's an intent to lien. Well, they think it's a lien on the house they live in. I'm like, no. It's an intent to lien on the timeshare. That's what you want to have happen. There is an attorney in Mississippi told me that the Hickory something resorts, Hickory Villas in Mississippi, they never foreclose. And they hope that, you pass away and your kids will not know that they have a period of time to disclaim that inheritance. In New York, it's 9 months from the date of death. And the other warning we want is 98% of the people that call us have lost money to exit companies, especially the ones that call unsolicited. They have a buyer. I just was in no mood last night. The third time I felt bad because I know he's got terrible medical conditions, but he so desperately wants to believe that Soleil Management. I've been on the phone with Soleil with this person because he was in kidney failure. And I said, the person at Soleil Management said, well, just default. We don't take them back. And he still is believing this person wanting $3,500 guaranteed to get them out of their timeshare. I said, well, that guarantee is going to turn into a default. So, you can only go so far to convince people. So Mazen, I know at some point you're going to have to get back to work. So I'm going to take our next simplest person because loans, which Kelly's have, are much more complicated. So Farah, did you strike any chords with Mazen in what you're going through with Club Exploria?
Yeah, they're horrible, Irene. Like, we've had multiple conversations about them. Just to give you guys more context, so basically in 2018, we purchased what we thought. So pretty much they sent us on like this tour of this lavish home, high ceilings, fireplace. It had multiple bedrooms, just something that, enticing. And two of the questions that my husband and I had asked was like, what about the maintenance fees? Do they go up? The agent and her supervisor told us no. We also asked in the event if we ever wanted to give it back or sell it to them, would they be able to take it back? And they said yes. So we felt confident in what they told us and we signed. In reality, it was a complete nightmare. Like, we used our points for space for places, and we had one of their resorts had blood on the floor. We had wallpaper coming off the floor, like just horrible. We contacted their customer service, told them what was going on, and they apologized and told us that, oh, we'll give you a credit for something else. And each space that we got continuously was another nightmare. We sent multiple emails, called them. They said that, we don't do buybacks. And I said, but you guys promised us that it was capable. Well, we can't recall the conversation that you had at the time. And then most recently in one of our phone calls where we brought it up again, like, hey, you guys promised us that you guys will buy it back. One of their agents on the call was like, yes, during COVID, we were taking timeshares back, but they no longer do it. So I said, well, since you guys have us on file, our record showed you that we've constantly called. Like, why wasn't we informed? And he said, oh, well, when I'm not sure, I can ask my supervisor. The supervisor comes on, starts screaming at me, fails to hang up the call. So I'm hearing her having this whole conversation with her agent about what he just told me. So
And
I
were
emailed
you
him.
also, you were referred to timeshares only?
Yeah, they referred us. They said, oh, you can try timeshares only or sell my timeshare, which we contacted them. They gave us a quote at one time. My husband and I were hesitating. Then they reached out to us again and said, oh, we'll do it for $700. We'll be able to post your stuff online and we could talk about how much we'll put your property on sale for. But we
Okay.
never moved forward since we saw the reviews online, how they were also like a scam.
Yes, and like Sheila has been on the show before and talked about how they were saying like she should list it from 9,000 to 11,000. This is a Better Business Bureau complaint on my enthusiasm for timeshare only. This is pretty recent, February of 2024, was based on the salesperson who told me 16,000 was currently the lowest price being requested for 8,000 Embark points, or $2 per point. So I listed for $15,500 for a quick sale. This was the blatant lie. All of this can be confirmed since customer calls are recorded. When I finally got to the website, there are only 3 other Embark listings. This would be the timeshare only website. One for $2,000 for 5,000 points, one for 4,000 for 6,000 points. That's 40 to 67 cents per point, not $2 per point. So ARDA, we're TARDA, not to be confused with. ARDA is the Timeshare Industry Lobby, the American Resort Development Association. And, I knew I could probably annoy them by coming up with TARDA, but I couldn't resist. And they are recommending timeshares only. So Bob actually filed a complaint with ARDA, or Order of Rock Resort Owner Coalition, and he called them and spoke with someone and said, we should be filing complaints against ARDA for recommending timeshare only and for Club Exploria, because all you're doing is making a bad situation worse. So where do you stand now, Farah? Oh, and we went through the maintenance fees, we went through the give back. So are you also following Mazen's procedure to say, take it or leave it? I'm willing to pay some fees and transfer costs and let's move on.
Yeah, so we definitely sent an email to them letting them know, who we were going to be filing our complaints with, but also suggested that we're willing to negotiate with them if they release us, and we haven't heard anything since.
Well, and then the victim blamers will say, oh, you should just, use it, enjoy it, learn how to, just make the best of it. Well, Mazen is a clear example of why you can't do that. But it's, to me, if it was a house or a car and you bought a car today and you didn't like the color, you could sell it. You might have to take a hit on it, but at least you could. I don't know of any other product you can't sell or give away that you have to pay for the rest of your life. So you're committed then also to just defaulting on the loan?
Yeah,
I mean, on the
when you
maintenance fees. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's like when you add it all, it's just more costly if you just continue paying the
Farah,
maintenance fees.
and I asked, did you buy this at Grand Seas?
So ours was, let me just pull it up
I'm just
again.
reading here. And I don't know who it was because I printed out Irene's paperwork.
Ours was in Grand Seas Resort in Daytona Beach.
Yes, that's where I bought too.
Yeah,
Oh, but you signed the paper in Pennsylvania.
I
You
signed it
signed
in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, in
Okay.
Pennsylvania, but you bought in Florida. Okay, so, and did you file a complaint with the Florida Attorney General?
I did. So they
Yeah.
responded back saying that they were going to send out information to, I forgot what the business name, and then they said that they'll forward out information to Exploria.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they will do nothing about it. So, and one point I'd like to make, no pun intended, is Attorney Howard Prosnitz has been on our show. He's filed a number of lawsuits against Wyndham, and I've been to his oral arguments. Kim has been to his oral arguments, and I always hear him say, these are real people. You know, you read lawsuit complaints and BBB, and it's all in black and white. We're not dummies. You know, Farah, you're the director of a charter school, correct?
Correct, I am.
And what state? New Jersey, is it?
In New York.
In
Oh,
New
okay.
York. Okay, so your neighbors with Sheila there.
Yeah,
And,
I got New York people on here. We must be suckers.
and Mazen is he works for Amazon, of course, in California, in AWS. I'm like, well, what's that? It's Amazon Web Services, iCloud hosting. So yeah, Kelly's are nodding their head. You guys know what that is, and we're always looking for volunteers to help us with our website because we're dependent on one person for our website, and like some of us here, we're not getting any younger. So one member suggested that we start that Facebook group, and everybody in the group has talked to one of our board members, and so we only want people that are in following our dispute process. There's 3 or 4, rather than maybe not be able to support someone, I let them in and say, well, okay, but if we don't hear from you in 3 days, we're going to remove you from this group, because there's so much bad advice. You know, one person that made a $200,000 purchase that I heard about recently, he said, well, I just read on Facebook somebody defaulted on their loan and it didn't hurt their credit score. Well, that's wonderful for them, but your credit score, if you default on a loan, can go down up to 200 points. So with that, we've had, and before we bring on the Kellys, I mean, we've had a number of people just since the last show, Kim, that have reached out. And one thing that I'm heartbroken over is I used to put Marriott up there with Disney as the beacons of honesty. But not only have we had quite a few Hyatt that Marriott owns, Sheraton that Marriott owns, and Marriott complaints. And one of the sales agents has such an unusual middle name. As soon as I heard that, my jaw dropped, because he was one of the most deceptive sales agents. We have a wall of shame. So the record is 23 complaints against the same sales agent, who one attorney has pictures of cocaine being snorted, driving a Ferrari. And it's just, so what I did was I gathered up those 5 complaints from 2018 when they said, oh, well, you signed a contract. What we're trying to say is a lot of this you can't determine by reading the contract or by the rescission period. Then we had someone with Diamond Resorts. So Hilton and Diamond are prominently displayed on ARDA's responsible exit, but the responsible exit program, which they call transitions, has been paused for almost the whole year. And this person called me. Her husband is on oxygen, and they're in California and bought in Hawaii, and he cannot fly. And they're in the same boat, on top of what they're dealing with, to have no choice but to default or pay for it for the rest of your life. the attorney that's been on our show before has said, another attorney has said, if you continue to pay these maintenance fees, you're rewarding unethical corporate behavior. Because we know of resorts that do support members with rentals and resales. Then we had someone who is, he bought from Westgate. He was diagnosed with cancer. He had a $6,000 loan balance, and he offered to pay that off if they would take it back, and they refused. And then we had someone that paid $5,000 to a timeshare company. They wouldn't, if they left the room, they would not get their free gifts. And also, you're also told that if you leave, you will have to pay for the entire length of your free stay. And so it just goes. And then just in the same day, I had a medical doctor call, and he's going to be on the show next week with us. He's so angry. Yeah, I won't say the resort because we're hoping somebody will reach out to him. And then at the same day, I had an attorney call asking for help with their timeshare. They're in Canada. They own with Vacation Village, so they're in the same boat as Sheila and Farah. Okay, so now we're going to make sure we dedicate enough time to the Kellys here. This one is quite the story, and I've suggested that that a complaint be filed with the North Carolina Attorney General because he has sued Club Exploria for illegal robocalls. And the response from Exploria is, we are the utmost of honesty and fair play. We would never make illegal robocalls that began with, hi, I am TripAdvisor, and I'm calling from the Helping Hands Association. That's an organization that helps orphans. And all you have to do is stay in Summer Bay and tell us what a great time you have. So we're closely following that lawsuit. And we have a few other people. We had a guest on that they both live in North Carolina. So we're trying to support that Attorney General that I believe, Kim, is now going to be the governor of North Carolina, if I've got my politics straight. Okay, so let's go ahead. Tell us about your Club Exploria experience that was similar probably to having an unpleasant experience happen in Russia.
So essentially the story kind of starts when we were just going to the mall one day and we see this booth set up. A guy has a wheel, spin to win, and it was for a vacation, right? So, you know, we spin the wheel, we get a scratch off. I assumed already that all of them were winners because it seemed like he had a booth there to sell something, right? But as he was going through the details of like, oh, in order to get this trip, you have to take a tour of the resort. So my immediate reaction is like, oh, they just opened up the resort and they're looking to like record couples and people interacting in there to try to, you know, sell it for something. But that's fine as long as we got a trip out of it. We live in New York, and the location that we went to was the Poconos in Pennsylvania. It was about a 2-hour. It was about a 2-hour trip that we took out there. Our appointment was at 1, and we go to the like reception welcome area after we found our way into the parking lot. When we go there to get our rewards or just hear, you know, what we have to do before they give us the free trip, they said that they had to do a background check at the reception area. So this is before we were even being sold.
Red flag number 1.
Yeah.
Background check. Okay, yeah. I'm going to count.
And so, you know, like the woman that we had spoke to then informed us that we have to sit through this presentation before we even go on the tour. So already we've gotten there. We're wasting time. I drank a lot of cups of coffee waiting before we had a chance to actually speak to someone.
They used to give you alcohol.
I was totally intoxicated, but
Yeah.
go on.
Wait, you're serious?
That's
Yeah.
so bad. Okay.
Well, it was no, she's not a heavy drinker. This happened to be
but
the
like to
this
do
happened to
that.
be
Like, to
the
do that?
Yeah.
anniversary of her husband's death, and they were her and her sister on St. Patrick's weekend. We're drinking mimosas on the ascent and Irish coffees on the descent.
And real
Yeah.
Irish coffees, not, I told him in Stewardess how to make them. So, I mean, but yeah, we were totally intoxicated. And I told him that 5 or 6 times. By the time we got done, we were in hangover mode. But go ahead. 3
Yeah.
hours. 3
Yeah.
hours. But go ahead. I
Uh,
want to hear your story.
Sorry, just hearing that completely took me off guard.
Yeah. So they took
Okay, Kim,
away
remind me not to
info, did a
say they
background
used to give you
check,
alcohol.
And when we finally get a chance to talk to the representative,
our
that's
real
what,
estate agent.
yeah,
I guess.
the real estate agent that was
Yeah.
trying to sell us, trying to sell us this timeshare, and we're there. Like we're there. 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, and this individual is showing us things. And when it seemed like we wasn't really interested, and we are trying to display interest, in like, hey, we're trying to go. Like, it's late. There's a long trip that we took out here. Where's the stuff that you said you was going to give us? He starts showing us things that he says that he wasn't supposed to. And essentially, he opened up the Airbnb website and showed a bunch of listings. They all had the same like the same image to kind of like show you the location. And there were other people that were selling their timeshares but renting them out as Airbnbs. And he mentions that hey, like, don't mention to anyone that, like, I'm telling you about this. But if you're trying to get rid of this or sell this, you have 15 days in order to I guess cancel the timeshare, right? We assumed that it was 15 days, and I believe it also
was it written in the contract that it was
Yeah,
15 days?
15 days.
Okay.
Okay,
But
well,
if you read further, it says that they don't actually have to agree to anything that they mentioned in any part of the contract. That it's always up to their disclosure if they want to agree to anything in the contract, but that we agree to it.
so
I
it,
want to look up
According
if
to the wording.
Pennsylvania's 15 days.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is 5 days, but if the contract said, now normally, as I read the disclaimer at the bottom, we're not attorneys and we can't give legal advice.
Right.
But I think in this case, Sheila, it would be
Yeah.
great for you to look at that contract and compare it to the contract you have,
Right.
because the other thing that I have not heard before that may be new because you have a recent contract is you also said that that after you pay off the loan for 10 years and you're current with everything, that you are allowed an option to deed it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really
I'm not sure if it means I have to pay it for 10 years because
Yes.
it also says that it's agreed based off the greater of the satisfaction of any note related to your vacation interest, but they don't mention anywhere what a note is. It's in capital N, note.
well. The note would be your 10-year agreement.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Your mortgage, your so-called mortgage.
Yeah.
So it would cost me, according to them, it would cost me $800 for full satisfaction of the transfer-related costs.
Yeah,
Once
so
they
this
give me the option to surrender at their discretion.
which would be okay if it was sold honestly. But
Yeah,
now
but
when
it
they
was
talked
not.
about Airbnb, was that just to Airbnb if you can't use it, or was it presented
Yes.
as an investment opportunity?
So he definitely made it seem like we were purchasing real estate. I told him many times we can't afford this. I'm a renter. I pay rent. I can't afford this. But he said, "Oh, well, but you have to stay for the whole length. You have to pay for the whole length of your stay if you don't sit for the rest of this presentation." But the presentation was just not ending. It was just hour after hour goes by.
And they had your driver's
Yep,
license
and
and
they had
your,
my driver's license and my credit card, so I couldn't. Yeah, I didn't want to leave without that. I didn't want to drive so many hours all the way home without my license, and I needed that, for everything that I do.
and did you ask to leave?
Yes.
And what happened?
They just kept making excuses. Oh, we're just waiting on the department, the financial department. Like, oh, we're just waiting on them. Like, oh, just like more time.
It was a lot of deflection.
Yeah.
And did you sign electronically?
No, we signed in person.
Like hard
There are
copies.
some pages that look photocopied though. I'm confused by that.
Well, we did.
We signed in person.
We signed hard copies. Like it was not done electronically.
Yeah. And on top of that, we signed the legally binding paperwork before we were even in a room with the notary with the recording. But it says here that she was here, but her name is just stamped like a rubber stamp. It's not signed.
So you did not sign in front of the notary?
That's correct.
Okay.
Like we signed some documents in front of her, but not all of these documents. We signed everything that was legally binding outside of her presence.
Oh, okay. And then you were provided a copy of the contract though?
It looks like it. I thought we didn't have it, so I apologize for that. But it looks like we have it. It's just got a lot of things in it that don't seem like it's part of the contract, and it's all kind of in between everything.
What kind of things?
Like welcome forms and
like vacation QR code and
random bits of information, like things that wouldn't be part of a contract normally.
Yeah. Like normally this wouldn't be part of a contract, but it was included like in between the paperwork,
Oh.
And do you recall a public offering statement or a disclosure statement, which is state mandated?
We signed that once we were in that room, but we weren't given any statements. So it's just, oh, you have to sign this in order to leave, and then we'll give you your credit card and your ID back.
Okay, now what I haven't heard, the notary not being there, I'm not sure that would void the contract. And again, I'm not an attorney. The Airbnb, that's debatable. That's also industry wide. And how did you answer? Was that Airbnb? Was that just to offset your costs, or did they present it as a?
He was like, "Oh, I'm going to be your real estate agent. I will help you to make money off of this before the first payment comes out, and then you can cancel. That way, you didn't lose any of your money." That's how he was.
Cancel what? Can't cancel the contract or cancel? Wait a minute. Okay, so he said he would help you rent on Airbnb.
Yes, he said he would help rent it because I won't be able to use it. I told him I really can't afford this, but they had already taken my down payment out of the credit card and supposedly did a background check, but it was a hard credit check because I got the alert on my phone. And the whole thing was just a bunch of lies, and we were gaslit into signing something that we shouldn't have signed in the first place.
Well, okay, and I've also made the comment when we talked that I could be a robot auto denier because, so what the resort will say is like, oh no, you could have left. You could have gotten up and have left, but if they didn't give your driver's license back and your credit card, and you actually called the police?
Yes.
Did you get that police officer's name?
No, because they didn't dispatch anybody.
No. But
I'm gonna tell them what happened.
So I was just told that this is a civil issue and that that's not something that they deal with.
Even though that they would refuse to. Did they refuse to
card and your driver's license?
It's almost like they were treating us like we were like an unruly hotel guest, that was disputing some sort of charge. But it's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. It's like they physically have my ID and my credit card. I cannot leave without this.
Well, and unfortunately, the high pressure tactics. You said someone barricaded themselves against the door. So if you attempted,
Yeah,
there was
so
like
there would have been a sliding door immediately behind us, and he was behind
You know,
us,
I
sitting
just
here. And
gotta
then
wonder, what if
yeah.
someone just literally snaps and just starts swinging and throwing things at these
then
people?
it would be on us, and that's what the
Right.
problem
And
is.
I was so scared because like part of me wanted to just take their computer and smash it and destroy whatever information they had there, but another part of me also knows that they have everything on a cloud. So, like,
Right. Well, and I mean, and you know, Irene, it's getting ridiculous the way that they're
oh,
getting. I mean, I am to the point now. I want to go out and videotape them doing these things. I mean,
well,
I'm to that point now.
mhm.
but unfortunately, there's not probably enough deception with the rental thing is industry wide. You know, we've had multiple where we even had someone that bought from Westgate that she didn't need a timeshare in Orlando because her parents' home was there. And they said, "Oh, you have a t-shirt business in Boston." And they even came up with the name for the business. You can have a rental business, t-shirt business. It'll be great. And they actually held up signs outside of the resort and protested for a number of days, and they got their money back eventually. Well, I don't know, they couldn't discuss the terms, but she certainly was satisfied with what happened. Now, Mohammed would love to be here. Mohammed, he's working today. He purchased a 2-bedroom Club Exploria, Summer Bay, in February of 2024. And his sales agents assured them they could sell or transfer at any time. Same thing everybody else was told. And so the agent said just to give Club Exploria a 20-day notice before the next loan payment to cancel. But now they say it's our problem. Then Fabiana, we just connected yesterday. She reached out to Tarda. She purchased in July of 2023. In July of 2024, they were subjected to xenophobic remarks where I didn't get 100% of the details on this. One of the representatives said to them, "I don't know where you come from." And she said, "It made us feel discriminated against because we're Hispanic." The security staff threatened to evict us from the resort based on unsubstantiated strikes, despite us not creating excessive noise or breaking rules. Meanwhile, a neighboring guest was verbally harassing us, faced no consequences. And when we reported this to the management, they minimized and failed to take any action. The last thing she wants to do ever again is stay at a Club Exploria resort. So one of the reasons I'm so excited to have the Kellys here today is we want to talk about our dispute resolution process, which I put a note to myself to remind myself what we want to do is turn despair into empowerment. And Tracy was on our show. When she called me 6 months ago, she was devastated. We're talking nervous breakdown. She was calling bankruptcy lawyers, and she was sold to rent with Westgate. My husband, who's behind there, he only listens to one side of the call. And I said, "Wait a minute, let me put you on speakerphone because he'll understand why this really is a ministry. It's a timeshare ministry." And she was like, "I had no control over this. You know, there was nothing I could have done to present it." She joined our support Facebook group. She's now supporting others that are in the dispute process. She stopped paying a year ago. So if your only choice is to default or maybe become a TARDA undercover agent to go record deception, what are you feeling right now, Mr. and Mrs. Kelly? Are you willing to make the best of it, or are you considering default if that's your only option?
So, I mean, I don't know. I can definitely keep putting pressure on them to try to get us out of the contract because I can just sue the real estate agent. And
No, you can't.
well,
It goes
according to
under,
Pennsylvania law, because of him violating
but your contract states that you agreed to arbitration.
against Club Exploria.
Yeah, but that he's covered under Club Exploria. I mean, you might be a good candidate to speak with a lawyer. We've had two
Maybe.
lawyers on this show, and they're very familiar with Florida timeshares because you've gone into great detail in reviewing your contract and understanding these things. And I don't want to cross over into, but one thing, I'm glad you brought that up because one thing we should have done, not all states require a real estate license to sell timeshare. Missouri and Virginia, you don't have to have a license. In Florida and New York, California, you do. Nevada, you do. So if you file a complaint with the Nevada or California Attorney General, they will refer you to the real estate division, and you do file not a lawsuit, but a complaint against it. Again, I have a Florida real estate license, and if somebody has a problem with me, then they would go to the Florida Real Estate Commission, FREC, or DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. Now, you can sue your broker, if there's a dispute, but, I think it would be great for you to talk to an attorney we can refer you to answer some of those questions.
If you wouldn't mind me interjecting, that's a lot of what our mentality is, right? Because there are so many illegal factors to this contract that we signed, we feel like that if we got the correct legal representation, that they would be able to argue that we signed the contract under duress and not fair. What is the terminology for it? It's not honest, but it's deceitful under deceitful conditions. And because it's so recent that we might be able to do something with that. But
so I want to I know where you're going here, but unfortunately, just like in my situation, it's your word against theirs. About the barricade, unless you have videos and pictures of it, unless you have some sort of recording, even though people go, oh, that's against the law, at least you have a little bit of leverage in your favor to play back a video or a recording. But you can sit there and say, I was there for 3 hours, and then go, yeah, your word against ours. You can say they told me this, but the contract says this, and the judge is going to look at you and go, the contract says this. Now they all know that this is the game they play, right, Irene? I mean, this is
and I attended oral arguments in Jacksonville at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals where Club Exploria sued Austin Aronson, an attorney in Florida, and accusing him of tortious interference with a legally binding contract. And the appellate court judges said, do you know how busy we would be if everybody that stopped making payments because they had an attorney would want to come to the appellate court? So but I've read more lawsuits, complaints than you can ever imagine. I've attended hours of trials, and it's tough. It's tough, but I don't want to dampen your enthusiasm. The first step is a clear, concise report. Yes. Step number one. And so the reason I'm so excited about your being here is we just connected yesterday, and I'm like, hey, can you be on our TV show tomorrow? And so you're going to work on that homework. Okay. So we're going to work on that report, and you're going to put as much detail as you possibly can into it. I think that would be good. It looks like we've got 1 minute left. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you send me your copy of that contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will. I think I have your email address. If not, Irene does, and I will send you my email address.
Yeah.
Okay.
But really quick before we go, I wanted to mention something that I don't even think any of us mentioned before, but it seems like the maintenance fees are really a small percentage, like maybe 10% of what the total like fee actually is, and that the bulk of the money is going to some organization pretending to be a charitable organization that's actually a golf tournament in Florida. So
Oh no. Okay, we've got 10 seconds left. So we're gonna have you guys back on this show. Same time.
cliffhanger,
boy.
cliffhanger.
Same time,
Next Monday.
same day.
All right.
Mondays, 1 p.m. We look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us. We'll see you guys
This was
next week on
great.
Timeshares
Any of my
Solution or
experience
Surrender.
before you can
Meanwhile,
reach out to me.
don't buy until you listen to Irene. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.